Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Fish of Hex. My name is Travis. Today I'm going to talk about 4 common mistakes that people make when they're first starting to use a calcium reactor. Now because I am topping off my reactor today, I figured this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and talk about these mistakes, and hopefully you can avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, which have been all of these, and can prevent a lot of heartache in the future. So the first one is running out of CO2. And as you can see here, I have 2 CO2 tanks. The big one is my main one on the left, and of course the smaller one here on the right is my backup, just in case I run out and I need it. Now, most of the time, I'm not paying attention to my CO2 regulator, so I can't see the pressure in the tank, and it will run out on a Saturday night, 11 o'clock, and I can't do anything about it, and I have to deal with the tank and stay up all night, keep an eye on the alkalinity, to keep it alive long enough to either Sunday or Monday when I can get another tank or get the other one filled. So, yes, save that heartache, just spend the upfront cost of like 50, 60 bucks, get an extra tank. It can be a small one, and it will take care of your system for even multiple days or weeks, depending on how active your calcium reactor is, and or how much it's using up for CO2, and you'd be good and give you plenty of time to fill up the main tank. Now, of course, you can keep an eye on your pressure by checking out the regulator, but let's be realistic here. There's so much stuff going on, we're probably not paying attention to that until our pH alarm goes off on our Apex saying, hey, your calcium reactor pH is too high, what's going on? And then you check and see that your tank is empty, and it's usually on 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you can't do anything about it. So keep an extra tank and you will be happy that I told you that. Now, the next one is running out of reactor media. Now, as you can see, I'm about, 4 or 5 inches below where it should be. And again, I do this every single month. Now, when it comes to the reactor media, always keep some extra around, even these smaller bags or containers. Now, I usually buy the 40-pound box of Reborn, but right here we have the 8.8-pound bag, which again is just an extra one that I keep around just in case I run out and I forget to buy some. Now, it's good to have this because you don't really want to go too long without topping off your reactor. For me, again, once per month is about average. And the thing is that you will notice if the reactor media gets too low, you'll start having to crank up the influent rate more, which is the rate in which the pump pumps water through the reactor, to be able to keep up with the demand of the tank. Now, one thing you will notice as well is if you top off your reactor and say it's like halfway full and you top it up, you'll have to keep an eye on your alkalinity over the next few days, because unless you plan on dialing back the effluent rate at the same time, because you will end up getting an alkalinity spike because there's more media in the reactor to dissolve and dump into the tank. So keep an eye on that if you're waiting long times in between filling up your calcium reactor. Now, for me, I'll top this off today and I will check my alkalinity tomorrow and the next 2 days just to make sure that everything is good, and then make any adjustments on the DC pump if I need to. Now, the next problem that people have is the pH probe. And now I use a lab grade that goes with the Apex. Now you can get the regular pH probe or the lab grade. Now, if you're going to get the regular one, which is cheaper, and I don't know why you would buy it, but if you do, make sure you calibrate that pH probe with new reagent every 6 months at minimum. The lab grades I like to do once per year. Just make sure you calibrate it. It doesn't hurt to calibrate it twice to make sure that everything is where it should be. So always make sure you're, I'm going to say make sure like 5 more times. Make sure you calibrate your pH probe so you're good to go and you don't have to worry about having the incorrect pH inside your reactor. Now, the smaller chamber here also needs to be topped off. Now, this is my secondary chamber that I use this small ARM media, and this is just simply a gas off chamber. I use this to pump the influent through to gas off some of the CO2 before it goes into the refugium over here, and I might as well talk about that as well. And that just simply lowers the pH before it goes into the tank, and it cuts down on how low the pH in the main display gets. Now, the next thing you can do to prevent that, or at least kind of make it less of an issue, I probably should have turned the light on for the refugium here, but I always like to dump my pH or my calcium reactor effluent into my refugium, because not only is it good for the CO2 to have right there in the refugium for the chaeto to grow, but it also again helps lower or increase the pH before it dumps into the tank, because the macroalgae is using it. So those are 3. Now, the 4th issue is the clogging of the gate valves. Now, the gate valve is what we use to regulate the flow from the calcium reactor into the tank. And over time, if it's not flowing enough, if you're just starting out, you don't have a lot going through it, it can clog up and in turn cause issues with keeping alkalinity stable. So the best thing you can do is come in here once a month, crank it all the way open, loosen it up, and then dial it back to where you need to. just make sure that you test your alkalinity shortly afterward to keep it stable, and you can make any adjustments to get it back to where you want it to be. The next thing you can do is use a pump like the Kimura and then not even bother with the gate valve. You control the flow with that. For me personally, I can't use the Kimura because it does not provide enough flow for the 300 and how much it actually uses up on a daily basis. Now the third thing you can do is use a DC pump, which one of my buddies, Nick, recommended, is go ahead and put the DC pump in the section in which you would normally have a pump, then open up the gate valve all the way and use the DC pump to control the effluent rate. That way you can adjust, you know, this is just an example of my return pump, but you can adjust how powerful it is with each one of those little notches. So that's another way you could take care of it, and you never have to worry about the gate valve clogging up and just cleaning the pump whenever, you know, once every 6 months or so. But yeah, so that's about it for my 4 tips for success and basically four mistakes that a lot of people are making with calcium reactors. Now, I haven't been using one very long. I think this is 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years. Yeah, since the system's been up. I didn't use one beforehand, and it's pretty good. I really enjoy it. It takes care of the calcium alkalinity and the magnesium. Plus, it adds the micronutrients into the tank, because basically you're dissolving old corals, dead corals, into growing new coral. So it's really cool. You just have to keep up on those things like CO2, your regulator, the pH probe, and your check valves, of course your media. So yeah, that's about it for this video. If you guys liked it, let me know. Give the video a thumbs up. Any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. If you want to add anything to this list, feel free to also put that in the comment section. So I'll see you guys later with another video. All right, peace.